as we had discussed above. Hello my dear students. In the previous video, we had discussed about movement of substances in and outside the cell. Now we'll discuss about three types of solutions due to this process of osmosis. So, when a cell is placed in any solution, any of the three things can happen. First, water may enter into the cell, water may come out of the cell, or the third situation, water comes in, goes out equally. Based on these three processes, there are three types of solutions. They are called as osmotic solutions. First one, if you look at the diagram carefully, red blood cells are given in the diagram. Red blood cells are generally biconcave shaped cells. In the first picture, hypertonic solution, the shape of the red blood cells is being lost, or the red blood cells are shrunk. What would be the reason for shrinkage of these red blood cells? If you see the diagram below, water molecules are coming out of the cell. Why the water molecules are coming out of the cell? The reason is red blood cells are placed in such a solution which is having solute concentration higher than that of the cell sap. So, as water content inside the cell is more than the external medium, due to the process of osmosis, water comes out of the cell. This process is called as exosmosis. So, due to this exosmosis, cell start shrinking. Such solution where the cell shrinks is called hypertonic solution. Then, second type of solution is hypotonic solution. Hypotonic solution is a type of solution in which solute concentration is lower than that of the cell sap. That means water content outside the cell is more than inside the cell. So, by the rule of osmosis, water moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. So, water starts moving from external medium to the cell. As a result, cell starts swelling up by this process of endosmosis. Then a condition may happen that the cell bursts out. You can see in the diagram hypotonic solution where one RBC is being burst out. Such solution where the cell swells up due to endosmosis is called hypotonic solution. Then there is third type of solution called as isotonic solution. In case of this isotonic solution, water enters to the cell, simultaneously water goes out of the cell. If 2 molecules of water enters the cell, again 2 molecules of water goes out of the cell. The reason behind this is in case of isotonic solution, iso means equal. Concentration of the solute inside the cell and in the external medium remains the same. So, water movement takes place on both the sides, hence the cell's shape and size remains the same. So, these are three types of solution based on osmosis process. This osmosis process is useful in many organisms, especially in unicellular organisms. In unicellular organism, single cell has to obtain food. Do you know how amoeba obtains the food? Let us learn about that. Amoeba obtains the food by the process of endocytosis. Endo means inside. Site means cell. So, endocytosis is a process by which amoeba engulf the food, intake the food and other materials. The main reason behind this process is flexibility of plasma membrane. As the plasma membrane or the cell membrane is flexible, water or food material enter into the cell. When food material enter into the amoeba, that process is called endocytosis. Let us move further for the next discussion. So, till now we had discussed about the outermost membrane of the cell, that is cell membrane or plasma membrane. In case of plant cell, the outermost membrane is not the cell membrane. It is covered by one more outer covering called as cell wall. This cell wall is not present in animal cell. It is seen in plant cell and some bacterial cell. It is the rigid outermost covering, a tough outermost covering which is non-living. This cell wall is made up of a complex substance called as cellulose which makes it tough. This cell wall gives structural support to the plant cell. Plant cells are in need of this cell wall, but animal cells do not require it. What would be the reason? The reason is plants has to withstand all the environmental condition because they are immovable. Whereas animals can try to escape from these harsh environmental conditions. So, in order to provide structural support to the plant cells has developed cell wall. Due to the presence of this cell wall, plant cell when kept in very dilute solution, that is in hypotonic solution, it do not burst out due to the endosmosis because the flexibility is there, due to because it contains cell wall which is very rigid that do not let the cell burst. In case of plant cells, as there is non-living cell wall outside the cell membrane, when it is placed in concentrated solution, that is in hypertonic solution, the contents of the cell shrinks, that is plasma membrane including cytoplasm shrinks whereas cell wall remains the same. That process of shrinkage of the content of the cell away from the cell wall due to the process of exosmosis is called plasmolysis. This can be observed by taking a plant cell, placing it in concentrated solution and observing it under microscope. An activity is mentioned in your textbook related to rheoleaf which can be done and observed under microscope. Now, the next component, very important component of the cell is this nucleus. Nucleus is called as brain and heart of the cell. Why is it called as brain and heart of the cell? It is because it controls all the activities of the cell. It is also called as controller of the cell. Then, what is the structure and function of this nucleus? Let us understand in detail. Look at the diagram carefully. Nucleus is a spherical structure, spear-shaped structure present almost at the center of the cell. So this spherical spear-shaped structure is having two membranes You can see their inner membrane and outer membrane is there for the nucleus. Two membranes are there called as nuclear membrane or nuclear envelope. So it is a it has double layered membrane. This nuclear membrane will have nuclear pores. It is labeled in the diagram. Nuclear pores are there. What is the function of these nuclear pores? Nuclear pores helps in entry and exit of the material into the cell, into the nucleus and out of the nucleus. For example, for certain processes, nucleus want material from the cytoplasm. It can take it through the nuclear pore. And nucleus prepares that material. It wants to send that material out to the cytoplasm. It can send that material through the nuclear pore. So nuclear pore helps in exchange of material to the nucleus. Then inside the nucleus, it contains many rod-shaped structures. You can see in the diagram, it is called as chromosomes. And inside the nucleus, there is a dark, dense spherical body called as nucleolus. Purple colored structure in the diagram, nucleolus. Then this nucleus contains rod-shaped structure called as chromosomes. These chromosomes are very important in passing down the hereditary character from one generation to another. This nucleus plays very important role in the process of cellular reproduction. This nucleus directs all chemical reaction in the cell. So, if the cell is doing any activity, all those activities are under the guidance of this nucleus. That's why it is called as brain and heart of the cell. It is called as controller of the cell. Now, coming to the chromosomes. Chromosomes contain genetic material of the living organism. It is a rod-shaped structure present inside the nucleus. It contains information for inheritance of characters. That is, if you have certain character of your mother and certain character of your father, that is because of the chromosomes that you have received from your mother and father during the process of reproduction. So, what this chromosome contains so that it carry information? These chromosomes mainly contain two substances. One is DNA, another one is protein. What is this DNA? DNA is nothing but the genetic material which is expanded as deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a genetic material which carry genetic information from one generation to another generation. Chromosomes carry information. That part of chromosome which has information is the functional segment of the chromosome, and that functional segment is referred as genes. So, if you have any character that is because of the genes that you have. For example, you have brown color eyes. That is because of the gene inside your chromosome. You have curly hairs. That is because of the genes that you have inside your chromosome. So genes are the functional segment of chromosome which is again obtained from your parents, from your mother and father. Now, is this nucleus same in all type of cell? Actually, no. All cells do not have same type of nucleus. There are certain cells which do not have nucleus with the structure that I explained before. There is presence of controller, but it is not called as nucleus at all. So, based on the presence of nucleus and its absence, there are two types of organisms or two types of cells called as prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell, or prokaryotic and eukaryotic organisms. What is the meaning of this prokaryotic? Pro means primitive. Karyon means nucleus. So prokaryotic organisms are those which have primitive nucleus, very simple nucleus. Whereas eukaryotic means U means true, karyon means nucleus. So eukaryotic means the cells which have true nucleus or well developed nucleus. Let us understand the differences between two. First one, prokaryotic cell. These are the cells in which are generally small in size, that is 1 to 10 micrometer. Eukaryotic cells are generally large in size. In case of prokaryotic cell, the nuclear region is not having the nuclear membrane, hence it is called as nucleoid. Whereas in eukaryotic cell, nuclear material is covered with double-layered nuclear membrane and called as nucleus. Prokaryotic cells have only one chromosome, whereas eukaryotic cells may have more than one chromosome. Prokaryotic cells do not have nucleolus, which is present inside the nucleus, whereas eukaryotic cells will have nucleolus. Prokaryotic cells do not have any cell organelles which have membrane, whereas eukaryotic cells have all type of cell organelles. In prokaryotic cell, cell division is generally by fission or budding, which you will discuss in next classes. Whereas in eukaryotic organism, cell division can be by mitosis or meiosis. So today we have discussed in detail about type of osmotic solution, nucleus, and two types of organism based on type of nucleus. Thank you for your patience listening.